Best of luck, everyone. That was fast. Oh, okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another political recap stream here on the Moisky Live channel. Today, discussing some... With me, as always, is my scrumptious co-host, TrupsLP. Say hello, Trups.
Hello, Trups.
How is Trups today?
Trups is all right. I've got a bit of a background track of thunder playing in the background, so I do.
I've had that.
About that.
I've had that all week, and I've had next door. They're doing some gardening before they move in. Lots of trees are coming down, and it's quite loud. So I poured myself a nice stiff glass of Tullamore Irish whiskey. I was put onto it by one of my mods. I'm like, you know what? I deserve this, so I'm having it. Just a shame it doesn't have a cork. Well, you'd have heard it pop. Yes.
The only thing I can do is this. No,
I heard it. Yeah, we heard that.
It was seltzer.
You know, it counts as something, right? Didn't some beers link up with them, or gins or something? Hello, hello everyone in the chat. Hope you're all having a fantastic day. No quirky title, because if I put what I wanted to put on the title for this stream, that made no sense. But if I had the title that I wanted on this stream, it would have been demonetized instantly. And you'll certainly understand that soon enough when Trups starts talking. But before we even get into that, though, Trups has a question.
Yeah, okay. So on Twitter, I have seen plenty of things about Ethan Ralph getting what appears to be punched out in Portugal.
Yeah.
Now, I do not know who Ethan Ralph is.
Okay then.
Nor why he would get punched out in Portugal, and why the internet seems to be wonderfully erect at that thought.
So, I will provide context, as I believe this might be what your question is. What the hell? Who is Ralph? Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Ethan Ralph rose to fame during the time of Gamergate. He had a site called the Ralph Retort, a YouTube channel in fact called that. He was kind of a journalist. He made a living off it. After that, he was involved heavily with internet blood sports. He got in close with Andy Warski and a few others. Eventually, all those friendships soured. He descended into her excess and has gotten more into IRL streaming. But he got yeeted off YouTube after the St. Jude's donation debacle, because where the money was coming from.
Okay. I remember that.
Yeah, he's been yeeted off most platforms. He's still on Twitter, still verified. He has been ever since I've known him. He more recently is in Portugal. I don't know if he moved there or if he was just there cause. But he had called out Cog, my friend Cognitive Thought, and Cog said, all right then, I'll go to you and we'll meet up. And he was a man of his word. He went there. The rumor is, Ralph spun it as, man attacked me with brass knucks and big studded rings. Actually, Dan, who hit him, didn't actually have any rings on at all. They got close. Cog did hit him, but I believe it's believed that Ralph hit him first, so it was self-defense. And then when Cog went to walk away, Ralph swung again, so Dan stepped in and flattened him in the middle of a street. And multiple times did this because Ralph kept getting up and having a go. By the way, we don't here condone violence on this channel, but it's just another damning statement for the state of Ethan Ralph as he is. Somebody that was moderately well respected to what he is now, where he is nothing more than a lol cow with hundreds of pages on the farms. Just hundreds.
Oh, I'm sure.
His gut alone, which many put an N in there, alone has hundreds of pages. It's just, he has no modesty, he has no shame, he will use shady tactics, he will stoop lower than everyone else, and it's ironic for somebody who used to call Monday Matt out for it, one of the most famous kill streams he did, that killed Monday Matt's channel for reporting other people, he himself is now guilty of doing it. And so just to see that descent. And now he exists on cozy.tv, a site run by Nick Fuentes, who was a part of America First, as many remember, who has recently been outed as somebody that accidentally may have because he's done a bit of a thing about sex. It's not, Yeah, he has some. It's almost very conservative views, I guess, but not at the same time. He has been caught out watching trap porn, which has caused no amount of amusement. An unlimited amount of amusement, considering he has tried to say it was an operation against him. He posted the video with the tab. People found the tab and they followed it.
Oh, good.
He exists on. By the way, Cozy TV is not monetized. They make no money off it. Yet at the same time, Ralph likes to dab on people how much he makes. It's quite well. You need alcohol to get through it, or seltzer.
Interesting. Yes.
There's more to it than that, but I can't right now.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So was the instance in Portugal the one with
Cog?
A
few days ago.
Yeah, it was that same instance.
Yep, I made a video on it straight away after one of my main channel bombed.
I noticed.
Yeah, the main channel video of the day bombed to a level I hadn't seen since 2016. So I thought, you know what, maybe I should actually make a video people might watch. And I was right. It didn't do as well as I thought it could do, but you know what? I am happy because it actually did better than the first one. Which is done better on my second channel, to be honest. But never mind. There's a lot to unpack with Ralph, and if anything, he's just another one of those examples of somebody. He's a bit like Wings of Redemption at this point. Just that fall. He has become, to me, I think of him as another version of Chris Chan, because he's that mucked up in the head, and that deluded, that broken. Obviously, they're not the same. I know it's a false equivalence. He's not Rhino Winkler. He's not Dragon Lord. I get it. But he's in that ballpark to me of those three vaunted lolcows. And he's become that because he encouraged it, he begged them to try it, and the farms responded in kind. They're like, okay then, we'll open a page. Good luck, motherfucker. Yes. I hope that answers your question for the time being.
Yes, yeah, it does. So that's
That's the first 7 minutes of the stream.
I don't even know how to like go on from that. That's just, dear God, what fucking nightmare.
Let's, instead of me diving into my first two subjects or your very serious subject, is there anything going on in America that you would like to discuss that does not include Texas?
Yeah, sure. So we've finally gotten to the jury deliberations on the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial. Now this is really what's been taking all of my time. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah.
Like, all of my attention has just been on Nick Rekieta and his law stream.
Emily G. Baker for me.
Yeah. And Tug and Yellow Flash, watching them, and Viva Fry. All these people are good people to follow, by the way.
I wish I would love just for one video to get the kind of views these people are pulling in for their live streams, because honestly, they're pulling in hundreds of thousands of people. I wouldn't mind that right now, to be honest.
Yeah, you know what? I'm inclined to agree.
Can people smash general, like? Thank you.
Please do.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised. However, I would be. The views they pull in are insane, but of course it is you know what is it spectacle? Sorry,
it is.
And everybody is down to watch people clown about their lives. I think. So we have finally gotten into the jury deliberations for this, and we're gonna see where this goes. I'm super excited because from all of my watching of the trial, I have seen nothing but, I shouldn't say nothing but I've seen plenty of good things going in Johnny's favor, and it's one of those things that when I watch somebody on on the stand have entirely different reactions to, like, let's say a person who is there to rebut what you have to say, and somebody who is there to support what you have to say.
Yeah.
watching those two types of people interact, and seeing the blatant difference in the way that the person on the stand responds. So in this case, Amber Heard. Watching her be very, very stoic and almost combative with the opposing counsel, Johnny Depp's counsel, and borderline tears as she retells her story when talking with her counsel. I'm always almost in disbelief looking at it, going, "Are you sure?
Are you
sure that the way you want to do this?"
Yeah. So her side feels, when she's talking to her own team, that feels orchestrated. That feels like they have planned that up. Like, I need you, when you retell the story, you've got to cry. And when she's telling it, the way she's gesturing, and it's it's like someone. So there's certain types of actors. You have those that are trained solely on television, and then you have stage actors. And Amber is very much a TV actor trying to pretend to be a stage actor, because stage actors are known for over-the-top expressions because they have to be able to express to the back of the room. And that's what she is trying to do. And watching her, that's what I see. And I'll be honest, yes, there's a huge risk here because of how people are still somewhat in the past, but we don't know for certain when it comes to men being victims of stuff and whether or not defamation can in fact work that way. But when she was being questioned, as you mentioned, like by is it Camilla? Is that her name?
Yes, Camille. Yeah.
Thank you, Camille. Thank you. She was very much like smarmy as Fook. That was the TV actor coming through there. She doesn't have to gesture. She's like, I just know better than you. I don't even know why I'm wasting my time with you. I'm better than you. The thing is, we got to watch others take the stand, and they're obviously, if they're, regardless of their side, there was a level of neutrality almost, even with Amber Heard's own sister, who did try to do a bit of acting, but quite frankly, it was marginally better than her sister's. She did an over-the-top gesture. Then you had that doctor that got brought to the stage, and I played this in my Patreon feed. It was hilarious. This doctor that the Heard team brought forward with his mouth thing.
Yes.
And there's a great bit. I've got this video. It's so funny. He gets asked a question, and he starts doing these mouth noises and hand gestures with his mouth. And Johnny stops. Johnny Depp stops, sits upright, looks, goes, "What's he doing?" And his counsel goes, "What's he doing?" And then he leans in. Johnny does, puts his hands on his temple, and is like, "What the fuck is this?" And then the guy asks, "Am I meant to answer the question?" But this is what we had to put up with.
It was about the Willy Wonka thing.
Yeah, it was such bullshit. Of course, you had the bloody answering. The judge would have said otherwise. To be honest, the judge would have said something. And then when you had Johnny on the stand, and you have to be, I mean, yes, okay, there is still a chance he met. I don't know. Obviously, we don't know for certain because it has to be proven.
Well, the jury has to find.
Yes,
something.
exactly. And when he was on the stand, he answered the questions. Yes, there was some snarky responses here or there, but he didn't do it over the top. He didn't start crying. He kept it very clear and very to the point, which is almost strange for somebody who has been, portrayed as this drug-addled idiot, vicious drug-addled idiot. And as far as I'm concerned, I cannot side with Amber Heard. I cannot. Not because of of everyone else's response or not online, and I have to keep the popular opinion to protect myself. No, she's an abuser who has done it in multiple relationships, and her stories were debunked in that courtroom. They were debunked. I'm sorry, but the evidence, like the one with Kate Moss. Moss, exactly. And when that happened, honestly, I couldn't have cried with laughter anymore. Honestly, it was so stupid. You made up a lie, and you got caught out, and she got caught out multiple times. He is, and as others have mentioned, he came off as a legit survivor, and I do believe he is, and I do believe he was defamed by somebody that abused him. And you know what? Based on how I don't want her. Obviously, I want him to win. I don't want her to win. But there's still a risk that she could win because of how people's antiquated views on DV go.
From what people have said who have been in the courtroom, I think we're going in the direction that I would personally like. I wanted to not say necessarily the right direction, but in my opinion, it is the right direction. I think that we're gonna. It's gonna really come down to how long the jury deliberates.
Yeah.
Right?
So if they don't finish today, we will not get Saturday, Sunday, Monday. They will not be deliberating. They come back on Tuesday.
Right.
So this could be, if it's not today, it won't be till next week. Which no offense, I'm hoping that's the case, because if it happens tonight, I'm making a video on it. I don't want to. Right. I want to go to bed. I will have someone call me if it happens as well. I will wake up and make the video to pounce on it. I've got to do this,
Right, of course, because this is very, very popular. Everyone's kind of watching it at the moment, and
they are.
It's political theater in a sense, because whether you like it or not, there is a semblance of political to this story. Even though some people would rather say that this is not at all any kind of politics.
Mm-hmm.
Like, regardless of the individual person's politics, this plays to a realm of either right or left politics. And it basically comes down to whether or not the Me Too movement means believe all women, and that men are, that they're bad people.
Yeah.
Or that, in fact, women can be abusers and often will use the system to game against their significant others, and people will believe them.
Would you like to hear one of the worst takes I have seen from this? And I saw it about an hour before I started.
Please.
Twitter. I'm not going to say who, because I'll probably put it in this week at Twitter. I can't wait for the end of this fucking defamation trial, but it's about to get worse before it gets better. Tweet number 2. There is no good ending here because either the jury sides with Johnny Depp, brackets, doubt it, and the internet gets to be more misogynistic, or the jury sides with Amber Heard and the internet becomes more misogynistic, like there is no good ending here. Third tweet. Muting in advance before the name searchers get me.
Interesting play. I want to make a comment, but I want no repercussions for the dumb shit I say.
I'll, just in case you get bored later, that's the archived. Woo! That's the archived tweet, and here's the actual tweet. You can have your fun. I've got you, bro.
You know me so well.
Honestly, I'm just here for love.
Okay? Yeah. Well, the thing is, I genuinely think, and this is just based on, like. For myself, who has watched a lot of this trial, I'm sorry, but Amber's story doesn't add up.
It does not.
And the fact that one of her defenses yesterday was everyone else, essentially saying that everyone else is a liar except me. Just it.
Well, she's using the. It's almost like it feels like a fallacy. I'm the authority on this. You will respect it. That's something else, but it feels like that.
It's like an appeal to emotion.
Well, yeah, but it still feels like a fallacy. It's straight up like, you will believe me. You are going to. I am right. I cannot be wrong. It's arrogance. Arrogance.
Well, it's more than arrogance. It is the manipulation.
She's an expert at that.
These are the things that people have always said, like throughout the trial. She is like this.
Yep.
And if you were to presume that, in fact, yes, they are like this, then you watch this happen and you go, yes, correct. I see it. I can see it in real time happening before me.
Yeah.
And it's a strategy.
And just to address something in the chat here, it's effing stupid that men are gatekept from Me Too. That is true. Is it Brendan Fraser, the actor? He is one of those great examples of somebody that was taken advantage of.
Was he? I did not know. I knew that he had a drug problem, but I did not know why.
I think that might have been a part of it, reason for it, if I remember correctly. He was taken advantage of by some people, and you know what? If anyone deserved to have their voice heard and not be excluded, I guess it would definitely be him. In the case of this, Johnny Depp made it quite clear he wanted this out in public so that everyone could see it and not behind closed doors, so it couldn't be spun. By doing so, some believe that it's solely so he can peddle his wares as an actor. Now, there might be a point to that, maybe, if you really want to think down that path too hard, but I think that's the wrong thing to focus on. I think actually it's something far simpler. It's that by doing it publicly, everyone sees it. And the court of public opinion, which Amber Heard claimed was bought and paid for as stock accounts for Johnny Depp. By the way, I haven't received my royalty check for that yet. I don't think Trups has either. Apparently. So, Johnny, come and help a brother out. It's to us an insulting way. It's an insult way of fobbing us off. But it served as a great. Terry Crews is definitely another one. Sonless
Terry Crews was there.
Definitely, he was definitely one of those. He definitely does. Yeah. With this all being public, we as a public, we know he's innocent, and we've seen it. And yes, some are going to disagree. I'm sure they are, but you've seen it now. You've seen all the evidence, and you've seen her proven wrong. You have not seen Johnny proven wrong once. You have not.
Right. And they brought up an accidental comment the other day when they mentioned that the pictures that have been submitted as evidence, 2 pictures, separate evidences, are actually of the same image, but they're changed.
Yeah.
Which made, if I were on the jury, I would stop and immediately ask the question right then and there. Okay, whose decision was it to include this?
I'm with you on that.
Was it Amber's?
I'd love to.
The lawyers?
That's a fair point. I actually want to know who thought it was a good idea for Amber to take the stand and repeatedly say that there were blood in instances, but there's no evidence of it existing. Oh, and the fact that, and this one, I will admit, this is one hell of a gotcha. The bed was damaged, and Amber's like, yes, that's where Johnny attacked it. Why is there that knife on the bed?
Was that the one where there was blood on the bed, but they only took a picture of the bed and not of the blood?
Yeah. She claimed the pillowcases or something were covered in blood, right? But there's no blood, and the only damage to the bed she claimed he did with his hands or something, and yet there was a knife on the bed, like a fold-up one, I think. I'm sorry, or some kind of tool. You claim he did it, but your evidence, no. There's nothing
it
here
does not show what you think it does.
No, I think somebody has. I think somebody had too deep a swig of the Kool-Aid. Yes.
Well, there were some interesting comments about her antics while on the stand. I don't know how true they are, but they are certainly interesting to look at. Some of her potential bumping coke on the stand.
I did quite like when they were about to go for recess, as Johnny was also getting up to go one way. She did it on purpose. She looked as he walked in her direction, but he hadn't noticed her. She walked straight back into a wall, looking super distressed and I was like, that's the stage actress right there. That's the stage actress, because Johnny just turned around and moved aside, completely it was very over the top. I'm sure people saw through that shit. They have to be able to see through
that. The thing is, I look at Johnny and I go, all right, let's be honest. Who has more to lose here? If Johnny is found, if they throw out his case, then Johnny loses everything.
He does.
Forever. And Amber wins back everything. If Johnny wins, then Amber has gone out and made this issue, has written the op-ed, and has been found to be a liar. And Johnny gets to gain back all that which he lost.
She's, to me, and I have to put her in the same box as him, she's like Juicy Small Tits, to be honest. Pathological liar who has to be in a court to be proven wrong, and still won't believe that they're wrong. And And as far as Johnny's career goes, yeah, if it's over if it's thrown out, and I really hope that's not the case, because honestly, we know who it is. We know who's in the right. And there was a thing about Aquaman. It's been trending so much. They were saying that Amber Heard has a lesser role in this movie, and it's not because of this trial. It's because of the lack of chemistry between her and Jason Momoa. I'm like, but you've put them together on like 3 occasions now. Are you sure about that? It'd be technically 4 if you include the Snyder cut. Are you sure you want to commit to that bullshit? Are you sure about this?
Right.
Don't lie to me, because if the court sides with her, then in the 3rd Aquaman movie, which will undoubtedly happen, you're going to put her front and center.
Oh, absolutely. She's going to have such a big role, and it's going to be god awful.
Hey, maybe she become Aqua Woman or something. You know, why not? Queen of the seas, ocean.
I hope not.
The Amber Heard is the ocean moister.
Moister. Jesus, I hate it. Okay, well,
moving on.
we shall see how that goes as we progress.
To be continued.
Yes. Watch Omegon's main channel or the sub channel to see if when a verdict drops, make sure that you have that button pressed so that you know when that shit comes up.
If no verdict is today, which I'm no offense intended, I really hope not. I want to sleep. Monday it'll be a video solely about this week that we've just gone through, and there's a lot to go through, but I will condense it down like I normally do for a verdict. Okay, so we're going to move on. Last week I have, and in PMQs I've done this especially, I have been complaining a considerable amount about the cost of living. It has hurt us a fair bit. The Conservatives, I'll start with Labour. Labour want to introduce a windfall tax. This would be a tax on the profits for energy companies. Companies who have said, and I quote, "We are making more money than we know what to do with." They legit were making so much profit, they didn't know what to do with any of it. They said that. That was a huge mistake. Because now people are like, well, why aren't you paying more tax then to help us? Why are you not lowering your bill rather than keeping your profits at that height? Why are they not regulated to a degree by the government to prevent them from increasing their profit margin to such a degree, right? And problem with the windfall tax is if you introduce it, what will invariably happen is the energy companies will offset what they've lost onto the customer by increasing the energy even further, which is exactly what will happen. We all know that to be the case. I know that some American politicians have argued against it as well for exactly the same reason. And that's understandable, to be honest. I fully appreciate it. However, it does cause us a number of issues, because where do we then go to make it easier on the customer? Energy bills in this country are expected to go up by £500 this year. That's how much they... Right, that, for me, over the course of a year, is about £40 to £50 a month, depending on time of year. It could be 30. Yeah, it is, if you're low income. And we're not exactly a wealthy family. I'm certainly not wealthy in the slightest, to be honest. Not at the moment, dead channel. It's just not it's not easy to pay that. I was streaming yesterday on Twitch, and I was about an hour and a bit in. Your partner was in my chat,
yes.
And I was geeking out on music because of her, and I was very grateful for that, by the way. And all of a sudden, my electric went out. We ran out. We have a meter. And so I went around the shops, topped it up, put extra on. That was fine. I just, it's because we've gone through more than we had expected. And it has gone up a considerable amount. And to feel that on our side when we know money is a bit tight it's not a good feeling. It's not nice in the slightest. And so a windfall tax does sound like, to people who are low income that don't understand politics, like a good idea. But in reality, it's a bad idea. All for the last, 3 to 4 weeks, the Conservatives have been very adamant they don't like to introduce taxes. The Labour's response is, since Boris Johnson took office, he's introduced 15 tax rises. And he has introduced 15 tax rises. So why not this one? And it's because, the Conservatives do like their wealthy friends. Because they scratch their back and they scratch their balls. Rishi Sunak, who is the current Chancellor of the Exchequer, has also been against this. Yet when in PMQs, Boris has been put on the spot about Rishi's clearly conflicted, because I think he wanted a windfall tax. You can tell Rishi wanted it, because whenever Keir Starmer mentioned it, Rishi Sunak looked down. He did not look at Keir Starmer once. He looked guilty. Like, he knew he was hurting the people by not doing this. Well, yesterday, eventually, because Rishi Sunak unveiled a £15 billion bailout for the people of the United Kingdom. This can benefit some people to the tune of £1,600, but that's not quite what it appears. So this package is supposed to help us with the energy costs, which are set to go up again by more than 40%. So Rishi's confirmed that he is in fact performing a U-turn on imposing a 25% windfall tax on the surging profits of oil and gas firms, which involved a vast amount of arguing with the cabinet. So what happens? Well, the 25% windfall tax should raise £5 billion this year, and it could last until 2025. So that's where 15 billion comes from, 3 years worth. The £200 per household state loan for energy bills is being converted to a permanent grant and doubled to £400 to take the edge off the inflation, which is for 27 million homes. So in theory, my family household should get that as well. A universal handout will cost the government an extra $6 billion, although the figure is twice that on the basis that the Exchequer was previously intending to recoup 200 of it per person, per family, Rishi's also said 8 million households on benefits get a £650 handout paid in 2 stages in July and autumn. That will cost the Treasury £5 billion. But that, for my family, is where it ends. Where that 1,600 I mentioned earlier comes from is pensioners and disabled people. Pensioners and disabled people will get £300 and £150 respectively, and that a triple lock will be applied to the state pension this year. I don't know what triple lock means, by the way. But that's where all this money, when the windfall tax starts coming in, this is where these payments will go. My issue is, and it's the obvious one really, is it's all well and good doing this, but it doesn't change the fact that those energy prices aren't going to come down. Which means you can brag as much as you like about bailing the people out, but you haven't given us a long-term solution. The long-term solution will be to find a way to get them to reduce what they're charging us. Because they're not charging it because of how much it's costing to get now. They're charging us knowing they can make even more money off us. That's what it is. And I think, well, that might be it. Maybe it isn't. I don't know. I'll defer to superior knowledge people, i.e. literally everyone else. But to me, it's just an absolute rip-off that the people are being, mugged off. And the solution is a couple grants, which could help in the short term. But in the long term, that is not a solution to the problem. That's just my opinion on it.
Okay, so what would be a solution?
I don't actually know.
Obviously, the energy problem is by itself, its own problem. But
yes, it is its own problem. But know.
Knowing what it is,
I don't know what they could do, because this would. I would have thought the government would have found a way to regulate energy companies from being able to manipulate to that level where they could take so much from us. But I don't know how they can do that now without looking like they're trying to control the resources, which might be a bit counter to a government who would claim to be very capitalist. Free market capitalist, I believe, is a term used. And in this context, I don't know if that applies when, the energy company itself has control over the government, to be honest. But that might just be me on that. I don't know what the solution is, I'm afraid. I wish I had a solution, though. But I don't think in a short term, I don't see how this can help. Beyond that little tiny moment where it actually does benefit, and then the rest of the time people are like, well, this is still fucked.
Right.
That's just me. What with cost of living going up where you live, what solutions do your governments have?
So, besides the Fed increasing rates on loans, that's about it. So that would be your loan to take out a house, loan to basically do anything. Any loan that you get from the bank, they're going to increase the interest rates.
Yeah.
Now that has unfortunately spiraled into making everybody very, very afraid on the stock market, because that usually indicates that we're not doing so hot, and that people are going to have less money in their pockets in order to actually invest in the stock market. And obviously consumer goods will go down, and interaction in the economy by the common person will subsequently reduce.
Yeah.
This means that the stock market, obviously, we've seen it for the past couple of weeks, has plummeted, at least in the United States.
Right.
Because obviously investors know, with no consumer interaction, that the companies are going to start reporting that they're not doing as hot. And once they start doing that, then no one else is going to start investing. So that's the biggest issue, and the government is trying to use the Fed to kind of offset that. Now, Biden has touted that he has added some hundreds of thousands of jobs.
Okay.
In my opinion, it's actually just people who had jobs before are now getting their jobs back.
Okay.
Similar but different.
Well, of course.
And so with that, we're going to start seeing things like more people are going to be asking likely for more money, because with the inflation cost being, I believe, we're over 8 or 9% consumer price index. I don't recall. The last number I remember was...
What does that mean, by the way?
February to March. It was consumer price index is the amount of money that basically so let's say you go to the grocery store and you buy trash bags, you buy fruit, vegetables, and let's say you also bought like some toothpaste.
Yeah.
All of those things all have had a price increase, and if you were to even them all out, they would be about 7.8% for all those goods. So basically, it's the indication that all goods are going up by about this much.
That actually makes some sense then over here, because I've noticed the cleaning supplies I buy for the jobs I do have each gone up, I'd say, by about 5p, which is still an increase. Say a bottle of bleach costs £1, it's now 105. Yes,
right.
I can see it then. Okay, that makes sense, since inflation's at 9% over here. That makes sense. Well, it doesn't in respect to the cost, but now understanding that there's an index that can be connected. I'm not really an economics person. Mathematics, wizard. Economics, no. I don't.
Right. I kind of feel that. So don't feel too bad.
Oh, good.
I understand.
But I did want to understand vaguely what was going on in your side of the world, because I know that you guys are feeling the pinch as well, and your government and your system is vastly different to ours.
Right, but we are inextricably linked, which is why things that we have going on in our country affects you guys too.
Oh yes, very much so. Before you get to your main thing that I know is going to cause you to go on a big old tangent rant, could I perhaps talk about the Sue Gray report?
Please.
So, the Sue Gray report was conducted by Sue Gray, and it was on gatherings at number 10 Downing Street during lockdowns that happened in 2020. We have been waiting for this for a while. When it was meant to be released, the Metropolitan Police stepped in and said, we need to do criminal proceedings first, just to be sure. We have to investigate, so it couldn't be released. And then you found out Downing Street got and by the way, I said if Boris Johnson got a fine, a fixed penalty notice, he should resign. Whether intentional or not, he has to resign. Because, simply put, you broke the rules. You have brought the office of Prime Minister into disrepute. We'll certainly get to something about that in a bit anyway. There were pictures of Boris raising glasses at lockdown parties, and there were pictures of him meeting up for beers, and it kind of didn't look all that good. It was believed before the report came out he was going to sacrifice some of his own civil servants over this. Mostly because there were claims that Number 10 had tried to interfere with the report itself. So, what happened at Downing Street on one of the incidents, November 13th? There was a victory party that marked Dominic Cummings leaving the government. So Suze Graves described the meeting as a meeting to discuss the handling of departures. But the Prime Minister did join them, and the Prime Minister did attend while there was a party that did continue afterwards. But she didn't really consider that event as much of a issue. There were claims about who organised the party and who organised them, why they organised them. The Prime Minister is not mentioned in the report when it talks about organisation of any of the events, but some of the people involved in the messages and emails about them were closest advisors. And so it is possible that one or more of them had been mentioned, but there's no proof of it. People that were identified in the garden, in some of the photos on the 15th of May, in the Downing Street garden, did include Boris Johnson. And this is the one that really, really pisses people off, because this gathering grew. Even though Boris wasn't there too long, it grew, and it grew to a point that it became a party, straight up. And yes, he was not there for all of it. But in this, just to give some context, the police inquiry issued 126 fines. Boris Johnson was one of them, his wife another, Rishi Sunak another. Now, I doubt it hurt Rishi Sunak, the guys on the UK's top 10 to 15 rich list. His wife is insanely rich. Okay, a few conflicting interests. Yeah, and nothing. All power to him, I guess.
I was gonna say I would live that life if I could.
Many ministers have already quit in the government because they consider the scale, context, and nature of these breaches to be inconsistent with the responsibility of those ministers to uphold the law, especially as they themselves introduced the very law that stopped many people from being able to see loved ones for years. And so this report, interesting, okay, there's another bit of fallout to this, and Orla is actually the reason I know about this through Wildling in the chat, aka Leona, because Boris, he's breached ministerial code. Ministerial code is almost sacrilege, sacrosanct. What's that word? Sacrosanct? Is that it? I don't know. It's thank you. It's in Parliament
that it can't be touched.
Yeah, if you breach that, you fucked it. Thing is, he has breached it. But Boris Johnson has changed the rules on standards in governments that ministers found guilty of breaching the code will no longer be expected to resign. So, whereas he has breached the rules and he has to resign, he has changed the rules, so now he does not have to resign. I mean, tell me you're taking the ladder out from underneath you, so no one else is. No, tell me you're instead negating responsibility without telling me you're negating responsibility. He's changed the rules. That he's so guilty. He sat in Parliament, and I covered this after my P&Q stream. I did it in the same stream at the end. We went through his speech. It was a load of bollocks. I've got to give you. I mean, I fully agree with giving context, and that's what he did. The problem is, his context was inconsistent with what we know. Boris was at these events. He keeps on saying he didn't know. I'm sorry, but Number 10 is not as big as he makes it sound. It really isn't. And he is the leader of this nation. He is responsible. I just, honestly, I don't understand how he's still got a job at this point. Because he's managed to do it in such a way. The report is damning. It does also give a lot of context for some instances where there were claims of breaches, but they're not. And I think that's very, very responsible to make sure that people understand that some of these instances aren't as damning. But there are some of them in offices together toasting. I'm sorry, but yes, Boris wanted to go and tell them they were doing a good job. Congratulations. That was his excuse at the start. During lockdown, no one else could say that to their employees because they were locked the fuck down. Quite frankly, that was a lame excuse. you need to get the fuck out of office because you're taking the piss. It's an absolute joke at this point. That's what I think.
I don't think you're wrong. Basically, the idea that you're changing the rules so that you can circumvent responsibility. Yeah. I mean, that's pretty cut and dry at that point.
Other ministers have quit their jobs from the cabinet or junior ministers. They're like, no, we can't be. 20 ministers of the Conservative Party so far submitted letters of no confidence. You need 54 to push for a vote of no confidence in Boris Johnson. 34 more need to stand up and actually man up and do the right thing for a change. Because he cannot be trusted in office now. He will change the rules to suit him, and that is bad. And he has said, my apologies should be enough, we need to move on. I'm sorry, but I don't trust you in office. Not anymore. Brexit you did, yeah, congratulations. But during COVID, we all suffered. I remember being locked down all the time. I hated being stuck indoors all day. I hated it. It made me miserable. Because all I was doing was making YouTube videos because it was the only job I had. Alright? I was terrified about losing this. Well, thankfully, the end of COVID did that. But I was still absolutely terrified about it because this is all I had, really. I didn't have my cleaning work and I didn't know if I was ever going to get it back. Just,
right.
No. I'm sorry. Many people gave up so much. Many couldn't go to their own family funerals. They couldn't see friends or family for years. Alright, yeah, Zoom was on the rise. Congratulations. Now what about those in care homes that couldn't see or touch their family? Those who died alone. Like, come on. You absolutely betrayed them. And what was hilarious to me was, you had just recovered from COVID yourself. From the very rules you implemented, you broke the rules after getting home having had COVID. Like, fuck off with that. Come on, get out of office, prick. You lied. So, America.
Okay, so
where do you start?
All right,
I'm gonna sip my whiskey.
Where do I start?
Carry on.
We started the very fucking beginning. Okay, so
1776, everyone.
No, not that far.
Oh, okay.
So in a town, Uvalde, Texas.
What?
In a town called Uvalde, Texas.
Oh, Uvalde, is that the name of the place? Okay.
Yes. There was an 18-year-old who went into a school, and I believe they shot up. I believe it was 19 kids dead and 2 teachers dead.
Yeah.
I do not know if that number has changed. It might have since last I heard of it, but that was the last number I had. So that's the number you get. So the way that this started was that the guy ends up shooting his grandmother and then gets into his pickup truck with a it was reported at one point that he had a handgun, but most of the actual things were done with a I believe an AR-15 platform rifle. And I say that word is because I don't know if it was legitimately an AR-15 or just one of the several offshoots that you can make from that AR-15 platform.
The amount of tweets I've seen since that say, "Who needs a semi-automatic?" I've seen that. I've seen that so many times now, but we'll get to that later.
Yes. He gets to the school. He engages with a school resource officer who was in fact there and exchanged gunfire with the guy. The school resource officer gets injured, and the 18-year-old barricades himself into a 4th grade classroom, the classroom in which all of the kids and teachers ended up dying in. So let's break. After that, it was about 45 minutes to an hour before police then went into the building and then killed the suspect.
Right.
Okay, so a lot went wrong there, and we're gonna quickly talk about the part that is the the current conversation type thing, which was, why did Uvalde police not go into the classroom where the shooter was? So according to them, here's what Stephen McGraw, the Texas Department of Public Safety director, told reporters today. The on-scene commander at the time believed that it had transitioned from an active shooter to a barricaded subject, ... sick, and there were no more children at risk. Obviously, based upon the information we have, there were children in that classroom that were at risk, and it was, in fact, still an active shooter situation and not a barricaded subject. So, Governor Greg Abbott, the Texas governor, is floored at this information that basically the police said, they're probably all fucking dead. We don't need to worry about going in right now.
What?
I'm sorry, but that's awful. There was a child on 911 with the operators saying, please send in the police. There were parents outside who were about to bust down the door themselves to go get their children.
I mean the ones being restrained by the police?
Tased and restrained by the police.
Wow. Oh dear.
So, when people want to isolate this down to say, oh, this is a gun problem. Oh, there's a lot of problems here. Guns is, okay, one of them, I'll give you that. But there are a lot of things fucking wrong here. So, right now, they are currently dealing with the information that just came out today, which was the police did not realize it was still an active shooter situation. And so... that being that story, we have many fallouts that happen because of it. Of course, almost choked on an ibuprofen.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Of course, there is the conversation on Twitter about guns. That's going to happen every time there is a mass reported on mass shooting. And I say mass reported on because one of the interesting things that they had mentioned was that this is not the first mass shooting of this kind, since, like, let's say Buffalo and then this shooting. But in fact, there have been hundreds since the start of 2022. And my first thought when I heard that was, why haven't I heard about any of these other ones? That seems odd.
Mm-hmm.
Did you not have a reason to tell me about those other ones? What's going on here? But of course, I know that if it's not spectacle, then it's not going to get reported on. So that's what you have currently going on in the news media. Everyone's freaking out about guns. Greg Abbott actually had a meeting with the lieutenant governor and the mayor of Uvalde at I think it was 2 or 3 days ago. I think it was Wednesday. Talking about the incident when Beto O'Rourke decided to, I guess, make a play for his campaigning, and approaches the auditorium, stands up in the middle of their conversation, addressing basically an info dump plus a explaining to the people what's going on and how they're trying to fix the situation. Basically stands up and says, no, this is all your fault. This is your policy. Their blood is on your hands. The mayor of Uvalde calls him a sick son of a bitch and has the police escort him out the room.
Wow.
Yeah. So that happens. And yeah, so currently the conversation that is being had on Twitter, which I'm sure you've seen plenty of, has been on guns again. And I am more than more than willing to entertain those conversations because everybody who, well, I shouldn't say everybody, many individuals do not know the first thing about firearms. So that when they try to create what they believe is common sense gun law, they end up sounding like idiots to anybody who has ever owned a firearm because it's just simply not how things work.
Wait, you're telling me that there's more to it than just going pew pew? Pew pew.
Yes.
Pew pew pew. Okay. I didn't know this because I don't own a gun. I have Nerf guns. Deadly weapons, I know. And a sword.
They work similar.
I mean, I would love for from time to time just to deal with my enemies for a Nerf dart to go through someone's brain.
Yeah, that would be something, I suppose.
I'm kidding.
So where do you want me to go with this? Because I can go in a couple of different directions, and I know that you had some thoughts that you wanted to express.
Let's start with the obvious one of the Second Amendment.
Okay.
People are saying this is something that should be changed, that it is not a right guaranteed by the state, that it is a condition. It is not. It's up for debate, and I'm gonna use a tweet that I just noticed. So here we are. The Second Amendment, like the others, is not a right guaranteed by the state. It is instead a condition to the state. It is not up for debate. The state is predicated on it. It is there to protect us from the state. Thoughts?
Yes. So, I've had this discussion several times. The Bill of Rights is a guarantee, is more of an insurance that when we formed this government, that we made the point that we, the people of the United States, believe that everybody has an innate right, a God-given right, if you want to use the terminology from back then, and some still use it today, that you have the ability to keep and bear arms, to have free speech, that the government may not infringe upon these rights because it is something that is inalienable to any free person that they have these things. Now, of course, we have had our fair, our fair share of oopsie daisies in history regarding whom we considered free men.
Yeah,
I accept that. But we have remedied a lot of that. And those insurances against government overreach on the individual rights of the people must never be called into question, because the moment you do, and they already have been in several instances, the moment you allow them to start chipping away at your rights, you will have none. They already have chipped away at many of our rights. The Patriot Act is one that I use the most often, but there are plenty of restrictions on free speech, on freedom of the press. There are plenty of restrictions on what it means to have an illegal search and seizure. There are plenty of yes and, but also that have to be at least addressed before anybody can have an actual conversation about whether or not these insurances can be taken away. Because yes, historically some have been eroded, but that's not a good thing. We shouldn't make a habit of it. That's the point. If we start taking away all those other rights, then yes, eventually you will have nothing. So in my opinion, it's just another instance that, oh look, they're trying to take more away.
Do you think then that people are using this solely to have a reason to try and get guns away from people? Yes. Or do you think... Okay, well, that answers that. No, do you think that with this discussion, this incident, people they're using it now as a way to try and pigeonhole people as either gun-toting nutters, uneducated, uncultured, and those that are in favour of removing guns are cultured, progressive, perhaps. I don't know.
Yes. The correct thinkers of society. Yeah.
I find it's just, obviously, I mean, we don't have guns. When there was a shooting here, people gave up their guns. You saw it in New Zealand as well. People gave up their guns. People are saying, "Oh, well, why can't America be like that?" America is not a country. It's it's not. It can be. You can't fob itself up as one either. It's not. It's not like that. You cannot use that argument on America and the United States of America anyway. You can't do that. It doesn't work. You guys have a vastly different culture to other countries, and firearms are a fundamental part of that. These shootings are bad, of course they are, and I would never, for even a second, condone what those people done, and I hope they rot wherever they are. I 100% do. But I also want the police to be held accountable for what they did, because people were trying to get in there to sort this out, and you guys were too scared to do it. That is quite surprising for someone from Texas to be chicken shit. I find it very interesting.
There are plenty of Californians that have moved to Texas.
Sure, but I in this instance, when you hear Texas shooting, my first thought is, so I assume the people killed them.
They would have. They would have. I bet you if you had let those Texas parents into that fucking thing, yeah, that kid would have died in a bunch of different ways.
I don't think it would have been a gunshot wound. I think someone would put spurs in them.
By the way, one of the deputies, I don't know if they were one of the deputies outside, but one of the sheriff deputies lost one of the kids in the school.
And they didn't go in, huh?
I don't know what the case was. They may not have even been in that area, to be honest.
Interesting. That was Second Amendment was one of those things, because it does bring up the whole, but what about, how about we tax bullets to such a degree that, you can own your gun, but having the bullets, the ammunition, you won't be able to. That was another thing I saw related to this, and I thought, Biden isn't going to do shit on this. I saw a load of tweets from him, or his Twitter account, saying, when are we going to stand up to the gun lobby and all this? And I'm like, that's not... I don't think that's the issue here. You're using this as a reason to take control from the people.
Well, because... And the way you know that this is not just... this is just somebody who is like...
can I just stop? The judge just called it. There's no verdict today.
Okay, cool.
They start at Tuesday, 9 a.m. Thought I'd let you all know. Carry on.
Sounds good. Oh god, I've completely lost my train of thought.
Sorry.
Why have you done this? Nope, I've completely lost it. Help.
I actually don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, okay.
No. It was Biden. Taking control from the people.
That's right. You know damn well that they are actually trying to take control from the people, and the way that you know it is because these individuals, right? These higher ups in government, you know damn well that they are protected. You know damn well that they're protected by people with guns.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is that they believe they're better than you. They are. I made actually one of the tweets that I had made earlier this week was that it's a semi usual reminder that that politicians are not in it for you; they're in it for themselves. You just hope that those things line up, because if they don't, then you get screwed.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the truest situation to discuss, like, guns, because no, of course these politicians don't actually give a shit about the individuals in individual rights. They think that they are somehow morally, ethically, or like physically superior to the common man. So when we talk about things like, no one needs a semi-automatic rifle. Okay, why not? What does a semi-automatic rifle do? It shoots. Okay, yep. So just semi-automatic rifles? What about semi-automatic pistols? What about...
Aren't the vast majority of them that? I know you got revolvers and stuff, but...
Yes. Yes. Fully automatic weapons, you can get them, but you have to have a very, very specific license, and it usually is not allowed for individual use. Sometimes it's owned by, let's say, a shooting range to do like events. Mm-hmm. Like they'll have like fully automatics that you can set up and fire down range.
Yeah.
That's one of the instances where you get them. Of course, police, military, they get those things. So, yes, those things are technically... Those things are banned from the common man.
I wonder why.
Because of a firearms act that happened in, I think, 1998 or something like that. That basically said that you weren't allowed to own those things anymore because they were too dangerous.
So you're telling me that there is a way that such things could be introduced to even more further restrict?
Oh, absolutely.
With midterms coming up, do you really think Biden will do it?
Absolutely not. There's no way in hell. And everybody who is currently talking about doing anything about guns, you're not going to get it. You're not going to see it because even the 9th District Circuit Court, the one that centers in California, just struck down a bill that ordinarily would have said that certain individuals actually, basically it was a concealed carry restriction that they struck down. Oh, no. They were trying to change the age from 18 to 21 in California.
Right.
To own a firearm. And they said, no, that's unconstitutional. You can't do that.
Damn right.
And there were some people who were actually shocked about that because the 9th District Court is not known for being, well, based.
Someone in the chat, Garrett, has written, my question to everyone who talks about more gun laws, have you looked at Chicago?
Good point.
I don't think they've looked at Vermont.
Yeah.
They are very relaxed rules, and, their issues are very, very low, from what I've been told. Mm-hmm. There was that statistic years ago, I don't know if it's still applicable now. States where there are less gun control law, there are less incidents, but where there's more gun control law, there are more incidents.
Correct. In fact, I actually posted one. So my significant other and I went out to brunch this morning.
As she mentioned.
And yes, and she told me that there was a very interesting story that had popped up on her feed. So I'm going to quickly tell you what this headline says.
Oh, please do. This better be a banger.
Woman with pistol killed man who shot at crowd of people in Charleston. In Charleston, West Virginia, police said a woman who was lawfully carrying a pistol shot and killed a man who began shooting at a crowd of people Wednesday night in Charleston.
Yeah.
Dennis Butler was killed after allegedly shooting at dozens of people attending a graduation party Wednesday near the Vista View apartment complex. No injuries were reported from that party. Investigators said Butler was warned about speeding in the area with children present before he left. He later returned with an AR-15 style firearm and began firing into a crowd before he was shot and killed. So, okay, so I would love for people to always like look at stories like that, for instance, and just go, okay, so tell me how restricting lawful carry would have helped this situation. And of course they say, well, that's not indicative of the larger problem. Yeah, Tell me more. Tell me more about the things that you always are claiming that are not indicative, but you still try to make them out to be. Go ahead. Like, yes, continue. I understand that this is a one-off instance, this one news story that I just read. But the point is that these things do happen. they can happen, but if you restrict every lawful owner, then they can't happen. Because lawful owners, by verbiage of them being lawful owners, won't break the fucking law. So, of course, that's where I stand on a lot of these issues. It's that, look, I mean, you've got these cases where somebody could actually stop these instances if they had the, like, the ability to go do so, and the will, really the will, to go and actually do something about it.
Would you like another tweet of interest?
I would love to.
Stephen King, in all caps, gun control now, stop the slaughter of the innocents. Retweeted by Flea of the Red Hot Chili Peppers. I'm with you.
You.
Don't worry, I've got you, bro. I'll give you these ones as well.
There
you go. You can go have your fun.
Thank you. All right, so the slaughter of the innocents. So I want to point out that also look at how many people have come out of the woodwork to talk about this right now, right? And remember how I mentioned that there were apparently like hundreds of other instances of mass shootings that you hadn't heard of? What does it not bother you? Or maybe I'm not going to assume anything, but it bothers me to observe these people, hear these people say these things, and only accept that this narrow window, right? This narrow window of these children were terribly were shot and killed, and it's an awful tragedy and should never have happened. These are all true statements, but now we have to fix it for everything, everywhere, because this can never happen again, even though it happens every fucking weekend. But only now people care, because it was mass reported on by the news. These are the things that bother me. I really hate that they can't differentiate between, okay, this thing, how do we fix this problem, and they have to conflate it with every other instance of gun violence without actually accepting that the other gun violence exists. Like the stop the shooting of the innocents, a lot of mass shootings are gang related.
Try not to explain that to him. He lives in a very unique type of ivory tower bubble.
You mean a white ivory tower bubble?
It's very white, yes. Quite coincidentally, happens to be white, yes. I thought what you were trying to infer by saying that.
Oh, that he's probably very, very racist.
You know, it's always possible. People do turn a blind eye to things when it doesn't suit their position, and I get it. I don't believe in this instance by taking guns away from people or restricting them further, you're going to solve the actual issue itself. Removing the guns is not the solution, you'll think, long-term solution anyway, because it just means the market will go black market. And the guns won't stop existing. Don't forget here, and it was in the chat, some people have modified their guns so they're illegal and done shootings. That implies mental health issues.
Sunless Wing Zero in the chat makes a very, very good point.
Yeah.
Statistically, if a lot of Americans have guns, but we don't have daily mass shootings, wouldn't that mean that there are many gun owners that don't go crazy and shoot them up?
Shh! Yes. Don't be sensible. Stop it. That's hate speech.
That is exactly true.
That's classified.
And even more so, a lot of people will blame the NRA because the NRA has a political lobbying stance. And they will say that the people in the NRA are the crazy gun nuts. Despite the fact that the millions of people who are NRA members and lawful gun owners, they don't go on shootings. They don't just go out and recklessly shoot at their neighbors. These things just don't happen. So it never made sense to me. So absolutely, Sunless Wing Zero is completely correct when he says, shouldn't there be logically a bunch of mass shootings. Yes, if that were indeed a situation that if guns equated directly to mass shootings, then yes, absolutely.
So, in the chat, Nathan has also mentioned 3D printed PUBG devices. They are obviously banned, yes, understandably so. But I would also say to print one is a ball ache. You'd have, first of all, because it's very hard. Yes, you can find the designs, but they're not necessarily going to work. Okay, even if they did work, if you're using PLA, it will break. It will break because it's brittle. If you use a resin printer, it may still break depending on the strength of the shot. So that's also a factor here. You're not going to be able to put high cal shots in those things. And if you do, it's a one shot done. So it more than likely has to be a plastic round of some kind with a pointed tip. If you're lucky, you may get one out of it before the plastic melts from the heat generated. Don't forget, this is exothermic. This is generating a stupid amount of heat. It will melt the plastic. It will fuse it. It'll be ineffective. So 3D printed is something that could happen, yes, but it is very... And I know there are other options with certain types of filament. I fully get it. My point still stands because it's too brittle. It is not designed for more than one use. If your intention is to make things like that.
There are people who have made very, very, I'm going to say, versatile and complex 3D printed weapons.
I've seen
a couple of them on my timeline. In fact, in the wake of these kinds of things, they often like to say, "Oh yes, I hear all of you people talking about gun control. Let me show you my 3D printed piece."
It's a bit. Well, they know damn well those things are not they're not going to be effective for long. They are very limited. My point still stands, to be honest. If you make a gun, it's going to the heat will cause it to melt, and also it could also just blow up in your hand. It's plastic. It's not designed to be, as effective long term. And I'm sure they shoot multiple rounds. Garrett, thank you for being that person that I was dreading that would actually be that one pedantic prick. Thank you. I do appreciate it, even though it means I now have to just sit back silently because you just shat on me. Thank you for that. No, it's fine. No, I don't mind. It's a valid point. My point still stands. It really does. I'm sorry, but these things are not as effective long term. But I do appreciate the point.
I mean, yes, he's objectively correct. There are guns that 3D printed ones that can shoot multiple rounds, and people have fine tuned their ability to do so.
Yeah.
It's more along the lines of, okay, so now that we have that, how do we want to? How does anybody want to actually address the issue? Because that's really what it's going to come down to. We have to now figure out, all right, now that we have those things, we know that they exist and people use them. All right, well, do you want to say that, okay, well, only certain people are allowed to use these things? Do we want to limit like 3D printing now? And of course, that's not the answer.
That is not the answer at all. That's not to say they won't do it, though.
Correct.
Given a chance. There are, to be honest, a lot of the sites, Thingiverse, I believe, they've banned that kind of stuff anyway. Most people that use it anyway don't do that on Thingy. The Thingiverse users don't want to be doing that anyway. Because, who wants to sit there on CAD designing this crap? It's not worth it. It's if you do, thank you for being that person as well. You have a point, but people aren't interested in that. If you look at what people are putting on Thingiverse, the people who are doing that are the sad people who will not be putting it on there because they get yeeted off the site.
Yeah.
Right. People are making baby Yodas. They're making baby Yodas. They're making furniture. They're making chests of drawers. Small ones that sit on your desk with legs on that look really cute.
Right. The thing is that we have plenty of ways to pass along information. like Thingiverse, sure, like it's not going to be one of the most massive 3D printing websites that's going to be hosting this information. So it's not going to be like any Tom, Dick, and Harry is going to get it. They have to look for it. Yeah. Now that doesn't solve the problem, because if you look for it, you will find it. As is most things on the internet. I know, shocking.
Right. And people say you should regulate the internet. I wonder how that's working out.
It works out terribly well, I'm sure. But like, if you want to ever like bring up the concept of, oh well, these mass shootings will end if we only got rid of guns, and I have to ask you, so what happens when guns are banned and we have things like, I don't know, how's North London doing?
Oh well, knife crime is the crime doesn't change. It's just the method used to commit the crime.
Right.
It's always the same.
And then, of course, the Met Police, in trying to stop knife crime, stole somebody's spoon.
You know, some people don't understand quality silverware needs to be protected.
But you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So many people covered that because the Met was so happy to tell everybody.
Yeah, they did it with a potato peeler in Scotland as well, I think. It's just... Yes. But he's deranged. Is it because you took his potato peeler away? You took it away, didn't you? That's why he was deranged, I bet. I bet you tased
I would be
pretty
pissed.
I would be too if I was using it, yeah. I don't be using a knife. It's too much.
But of course, that's... And then you have to ask the people, okay, so here's an instance where they no longer have guns, and this is the crime they now face, and here's what their police force now does. Is that what you want?
It's a tough question, mate. It's a tough question.
How about the pensioner who had a saber, who stopped somebody from robbing him, and then got charged.
We've had that in this country where farmers have shot intruders into the home with shotguns. The law is there to protect the farmer. You know, it's your castle. You know, but then they've gotten into shit for it. It's like, no, the fucker broke into your home. You defend your home.
And that is exactly the sentiment that people who are law-abiding gun owners, what they try to impress upon people who hate the idea of firearms. It's that, look, there are instances where you as a person would be faced with an issue, and I hope to God no one ever is. I hope everybody here, no one ever has to be in a situation where they feel as if they need to have a firearm to defend themselves or other people.
Yeah.
But should you be in that situation and you don't have that arm, you would wish anything to say that you had it. If that means that you are watching somebody, because this happens too, somebody gets abducted in a van off the side of the road, and you could have stopped them. I don't know if you've ever seen that. But there have been stories about people, women who get grabbed off the side of the road if they're walking too close to the road. A van pulls up, guys run out, grab them, pull them into the van, then they're gone. That's a thing. And there was actually a guy who was with a girl at the time who watched them take her away. I don't know the result of that story, but I know that happened. And God, I bet he wishes every fucking day since that happened that he had any way to do something about it. And of course, he didn't. And the same thing I can say about, there was a story recently, I don't know if you saw this on Twitter, but there was a instance where on a New York subway, there was a guy who sat down on top of a woman. The woman tried to get up and leave, and guy grabs her hair, pulls her back down, and just holds her there. You see her start crying, and everyone else in the fucking cabin, in that car, does nothing. This woman is literally begging for help, and every person, including the asshole filming, does nothing. And I bet you that woman wishes that she had something to defend herself with.
I mean, a decent person perhaps would have been good.
Yeah, well, a lot of people said that. They said, God, I wish I was there.
I've seen too many videos on social media of people getting attacked, and everyone else around has just looked at their phone and then aimed it in their direction instead. And I'm just thinking to myself, I honestly, when I've seen things go wrong, I've always intervened. I've seen a woman get smacked by a bloke, I intervened. I saw a cat attack a dog, I intervened by beating the owner up. Of the dog, that is, because the cat was my neighbour's. I've intervened when dogs have attacked other dogs that I've seen at the train stations. You don't let these things happen. You've got to stop it and make sure people understand it's not acceptable.
You have, and I encourage every person in here, if you weren't this type of person, and what I just said did bother you or distress you at all, I want you to consider if you were to see something, if you were to do something, and I hope that you come to terms with it and you say that you would. Because there are too many people. There are too many people in this world who are more than willing to be bystanders because they don't want to be bothered. It's not their problem. And yeah. I hope that everyone here can help make the world a little bit of a better place by standing up for what you actually believe is right. When you see somebody who is being assaulted in front of you, there's always that story about the person who was sexually assaulted on the subway in New York as well, and everyone watched.
I do hope no one said that was free porn, because whoever did that is getting their head kicked in.
No, I hope nobody said that, but that did happen, and no one did anything. So when it comes down to instances where people start talking about, oh, well, you shouldn't have these firearms, I ask you to really consider if you have a mother or a sister or a daughter, if anything were to happen to her, would you want her to have a firearm to protect yourself? And if the answer is no, I want you to ask yourself why. What do you have to believe that the people who are doing the illegal acts don't have them themselves? Because if you think someone's going to go all Muay Thai on somebody, you have a very, very real chance that that's not going to go so great.
You got more chance of them going Aikido at this point.
Yeah.
Oh, look at me! I can bend your wrist. Ooh.
Too many people have grown up in areas of the country where they have they don't experience crime. And I grew up in instances like that. I did. And then I moved down and I lived at my college, in my college city for a while. And in my first year of college, somebody was shot and paralyzed from the waist down, and she was a freshman. And she was just out with her friends. And what happened was it was a heroin deal that went bad. She wasn't even the target. It just happened. It was tragic, but it's one of those things that makes you go, oh shit, this is real. And then I started seeing all the news around the area about, shootings, and this person shot this person, and this apparent murder-suicide, and this and that. And, oh, this person was abducted. And I go, God damn it, I wish these people would have had ways to do something. I wish there was ways where our system wouldn't tie people's hands when they wanted to intervene or to save somebody. And it's in these circumstances that I look at the place like Uvalde, Texas, and I think about those parents who really wanted to go in and stop this person. And you know what? I have to give it to the resource officer, too, who did exchange fire with the person. He got shot, and so he was wounded, which allowed the guy to barricade himself in the thing. But at least he fucking tried. It's in those circumstances that I really look at, when people start talking about gun control on Twitter, and it makes me viscerally upset to see them want to take away people's access to defend themselves against criminals. Let me remind you, criminals who will not obey the law.
Mm-hmm.
And if the law is there to prevent law-abiding citizens from defending themselves, the criminals don't have to worry about that. They didn't follow it to begin with. And that's my rant.
Well, we have reached the 1 hour 30 mark of a stream. Yeah, we went a bit longer, but this subject needed and warranted justified additional time. We have reached the end of this stream. Thank you all very much for joining us. Would Trups like to promote anything?
Yeah, I'm considering. So I've been playing a whole bunch of V Rising. I don't know if you've heard about that game, but I haven't streamed it on my Twitch. But I plan to start doing that. So if you guys want to come by and see my friends and I play some vampire games, I know that's a great fucking transition from super serious to hey, watch me play video games.
Yeah. We need a break every time.
It's in the chat.
Yeah.
Go ahead and follow me there if you want to hear me just, not be so serious, maybe have some fun.
Yeah, Trups might even engage with you. Please go give him a follow, show him some love. We'd all appreciate that here. I have nothing to promote other than my second channel, Omegon 2 Electric Boogaloo. If you go to the main homepage for this channel, it's at the bottom with other channels. Just go to Omegon 2 as Omegon is dying. I have nothing to promote otherwise. Thank you all very much for joining us. We should be back in next week unless Trups isn't here.
I should be here next week. My fucking phone just went off. Yes, I should be here.
Fantastic. 3 in a row, people. Okay, then we'll be back next week. So good night, everyone. Thank you for joining. Say good night.